camera, people.
Mtn Top Chats with your guru.
Okay, here we go. I'm so excited today, Karen. We not only have a great guest, but I've got a stack of stuff on the desk that is so freaking hot. I mean, I'll never get to it all. I know I say that every week, but the stuff stacks up throughout the week, and I've been resorting everything because the news is just kind of crazy hot in real estate right now across the board. I do want to start off with a couple stats. So the NAR, National Association of Realtors, use the alphabet soup out there, says they did a large survey. 82%. Now, this is a big number. You got to think, 82%. No matter what the next thing I say is, that's a big number. 82% say that they will list their house with the first agent they meet face to face. They not only say it, the actual stat is that they do list with the first agent that comes and meets with them face to face. I'm not talking on video, and I'm a big video fan. I'm not talking the phone call because I'm also a big phone caller. But they're saying they listed with the first person that met with them face to face. This is just kind of mind-blowing when you think, we always coach people, take some time, interview people, interview at least 3 agents, maybe more if you're real unhappy. And people always say, oh yeah, I'm gonna do that, I'm gonna go out there and interview. 82% is the number. When I read this, I was reading the report just this morning. I was reading the report from NAR that 82% list their home with the first person, the first agent that presents face to face. Okay, there's a lot of learning going on here. We don't even have time in the show today to talk about all the learning going on from this one. Is face to face still a powerful tool? Yeah, face to face is still a little bit powerful because people are not only tired of the pandemic. Yours truly, your guru. I'm tired of the pandemic. But people generally are tired, but way bigger than that, it is way more powerful to be face to face. We have to remember that as agents.
Well, Riley, what this tells me is I got to get right in front. I'm going to be counting on all of the other agents. They're like, oh, I'm too busy. I can't see you until the afternoon. I'm going to be that agent that when I get that phone call that says, I'd like to see that home, I'm going to try to figure out a way to make that happen so that I'm the person right out in front.
Right in front. I'll hear people say, well, I always say, I want to talk to you last. This stat says if you're going to be the lister of the house, that you need to be front, because they're going to list with the first person. The number just really hit me hard this morning when I took a look at that. That's why I wanted to start off with it. And I would love to hear the comments by those watching the show. What do you think? Are you finding that it is that powerful? People they say they're going to interview, but when you go in, they list with you. You walk out with signed paperwork. I know it does happen that way a lot with me. I walk in, and my goal is to walk out with signed paperwork. And sure enough, a lot of the time, I walk out with signed paperwork. So, yeah, really a large stat. Okay, contingency offers are also absolutely huge in our market right now. So I wanted to address. I've been getting some comments about contingency offers and how do you get these things to work? Well, there are a list of companies. I'm not going to go over the list of companies, but you can easily find them. You go to Inman or go to NAR, Google for them. You'll find the list of companies out there that make it where you don't have to do a contingency offer anymore. So the contingency offer I'm talking about is you have someone who wants to sell their house. They'd be willing to sell their house, but it has to be contingent upon them finding a replacement house. There are companies that will step in and they will do a patch through sale for you in advance. So they will pre-purchase on paper the fact that you're going to sell your home, and they'll help you buy something, and then you can sell your house separately. And it's simply a patch-through situation. And this is mind-blowing. And they're calling it home swapping as well as home trading. Big market out there.
So, Rod, you're talking about contingency offers. And
Yeah.
it kind of is, but it's only contingency for the seller. For the buyer, they're not in the middle of this. Because in this market, it's almost a kiss of death to put out a contingency. If they get anything else, they're going to take it, aren't they?
Absolutely. And that's why this is so crazy hot, because you don't advertise it as a contingency offer anymore. You're able to simply to move on. You go and find the home you want first, then you offer your home for sale, and it sells like normal. And that's what the trick is going on here. Now, I am suspect, and I would like to hear some comments on this. Are these, with that kind of a contract in place, are you having to take less for the home? Because it is taking away some of that bargaining power, because you've already signed with a company that they're going to sell this for you and help patch through so you can go and buy something. And I would like to hear some comments on this. I simply don't know. Okay, I only have a few more minutes here, but I want to hit a couple more things. I got these stats up front on the top of the desk on the stack of stuff that I wanted to hit early. And so 89% is this number. So I had an 82 earlier. I'm going up. So 89% would simply use the last agent that they had. 89. Now, nobody can deny that's huge. 80. We are making people happy, Karen. I mean, and I'm not talking just in our brokerage. I mean, of course, we're making people happy. But across the board, NAR does this study, and 89% said we would use the last agent.
Okay.
But
I see a problem.
There's
with those two numbers.
There's a shoe that's going to drop because only 26% actually did. So 89% says we're going to use the last agent, but only 26% did. So now you have to ask yourself, why? Because that's a big disparity. Well, they say they lost contact with them. They can't find them anymore. They have no idea where they went. They changed organizations. They changed emails. They changed phone numbers. They simply can't find the agent anymore. They don't know. Even if they have the card, their information has changed. And the agent didn't do the simplest of jobs. I mean, it really gets to me a little emotionally here, because the simplest job we have is to keep up with our client base. And that's not happening. If 89% said they would use it, I can accept it if 75% did, but it's only 26. Think about that for a second. And I'd like to hear from you in the comments. What do you think? How do you follow up with your past clients? How do you stay in front of your past clients? How do you keep yourself relevant? I got one more to throw at you, and then we got an exciting guest to get to, Karen. But I got one more because it makes sense to come in with this 26% thing. We're talking agent turnover in brokerages, which is part of the problem. 80% is the number. Annually, 80% of the agents get turned over. They go to I'm not saying they completely leave the industry, even though we know a lot do. A lot end up leaving the industry, but 80% actually leave the brokerage, not the business necessarily, but they leave the brokerage because they initially shopped for the wrong thing. Now, I'm not talking about that today. I've got a whole show on that. My 7:30 show about building your business. I got a whole show on that, but they didn't find the right fit, so they moved on. But now all this business that they had before, they're not updating because the people are saying 89% would use them, and only 26% did. It doesn't make any sense. anyway, lot of stuff being left on the table, and it's concerning for sure. But I am so excited to get to our guest. Our guest is Laura Steinke, and she is a business developer with Stewart Title. And we could probably have never had a guest on with this much passion about our industry and this much excitement. And we're going to get to meet Laura right after this.
So, Rod, how can a cup of coffee improve my career in real estate?
Well, one cup of coffee is how we start our mornings, and it's not a stranger in real estate. We have coffee with our clients all the time. Even bigger than that, we can sit down with one cup of coffee, talk about your goals, make your business bigger, and push you to heights that you can't even believe.
That's right. And I'll tell you, working for Rod and I, you can be pushed because he's a workhorse.
I love real estate, and I want to share my passion with building your career in real estate as soon as we can pour the next cup of coffee.
So how about a cup of coffee with us?
I look forward to having a cup of coffee with you and having a discussion of a career change as soon as possible.
Thank you. So your guru is going to be back, and he is going to be chatting today with Laura Steinke. Here we go.
Hey, Laura, how are you doing?
Hey, what a great day to spend with you guys. Thanks
Oh
for
my God, Laura, it is always a great honor and a pleasure that you would even carve out time for us, for heaven's sakes.
Hey, you're worth it. And this is just making me take myself to the next level. So I appreciate you guys so much.
Yeah, you're bringing yourself down to our level now. And I do want to correct Karen. I think she mispronounced your last name again, Karen. I think it's Steinke.
Well, let's go with Steinke. It's like a Stein of beer and a K-E, Steinke.
That's right. Laura, I want to ask, before we even get into, I mean, you have so much business knowledge. I want to start off before you got into this business, because we all have a past. So what did you?
We're not going
I don't tell secrets.
Okay, we're not going to get into the dirt. But what did you do? What are some of the things you did before you got into this unbelievable, marvelous career?
Well, I was really fortunate back in 9th grade to work with Mr. and Mrs. Elmers, who started the Elmers and Tiger in Fairfield City. And so I learned my customer service skills for 9 years during high school and Portland State. And Mr. Elmers always taught me tips mean to ensure proper service and never to expect a tip.
Wow.
That's
Wow.
a good tip that he was
So look where we've come.
You know, this gives me a good idea, Laura. I got to
Okay.
talk to you about it after the show sometime. We're putting on a pancake feed in our parking lot.
I can help
and
serve.
you have service skills.
I can serve.
Okay, so you worked for Elmer's, but wow. So how old were you when you? Well, you don't have to
I
say
started when I was 14, and then after I graduated from Portland State, I was 23 and started my career at Stewart Title, and I didn't know what title and escrow was back then.
So how did they convince you to start in with title then?
Wow.
So when you go to Portland State and graduate from there, they send you to a company called Adams and Associates back in the 80s, okay?
Yeah.
And you pay 120% of your first month's salary back to the recruiting company, Adams and Associates, to have a new career, to be Bill Carter's administrative assistant at Stewart Title in the title department on Barber Boulevard.
Did you say 120%?
Yes, so I was very fortunate to live at home with my parents, both educators, and very fortunate to have the opportunity that led me.
So basically, you had to pay to work.
Pardon me?
You had to pay to work.
Yeah, that's how you got jobs back in those days.
That is. By the way, I worked for my parents at the time. I didn't have to pay to work. I just didn't get paid at all.
Well, that happens.
We're not going to talk about how old the guru is. The guru has no age.
Oh,
He's timeless. And well, so that you got started in at the root then of title. And what was some of your first jobs in title?
Receptionist, accounting, escrow assistant,
Yeah,
customer service.
of course.
That's when we did
Not
things
doing
with
pancakes.
we did things with microfiche. When we would order a tax printout map and deed, we'd have to go to the map and find the tax lots and figure out.
Oh my Lord.
It was like really crazy.
You did micro. And I remember, see, I did my first schooling at Portland State back in the day and before other graduate schools. And I remember doing some business research with microfiche. I'd go to the library and we'd pull up the microfiche, and I thought, what is going on? That was the best they had. And I even thought at the time, this is crazy. We're looking at newspapers that have been printed on the microfiche, but it worked,
It did.
Yeah, it worked. So tell me about your current business. So you are a business developer.
So what a business development officer for Stewart Title does is I target lenders, builders, developers for sale by owners and consumers and help them reach their goals of finding land, transferring it into subdivisions, building relationships.
I didn't realize you did subdivision work.
Yes, I've been doing subdivision work since the early 90s when I started my sales career at Fidelity National Title, actually, with Pat Stone. And we took Sunnyside Road from what it is now, or what it was back then, rural, to what it is now, to Happy Valley. And so I know many of the players in all the municipalities still. And
as they say, you know where the bodies are buried.
Yes, I know the dirt on the dirt.
I love it. Wow, Karen, I did not know she had this skill set of short platting and development of land. And I keep telling people when you go to develop land, you have to ask yourself three questions. Well, other than the insanity one, it's power, water, and septic, right? I mean, these are three big core things.
Yep.
And if you don't have power, water, and septic, I'm not sure what you're going to do. Because to even put a house in, you have to get those things. So right now, coming out of the pandemic, we're kind of stuck right now in the whole building thing, aren't we?
Things are starting to pick up again, so it's a great time to be looking for land, asking questions, seeing if it's developable. We can offer consumers, builders, developers, landowners feasibility studies for free and walk them through the process. And I can actually do most of the legwork for them.
So on your feasibility study, something I teach in the School of Business, by the way.
Oh,
but you guys do a specific one for development.
Yes,
what is in your feasibility study?
It's going to show the zoning, the nearby neighbors, the nearby schools, if it actually can be developed, what the definitions of that zoned area is. Can we do a minor partition? Can we do a subdivision? And it opens up a lot of questions. And so that's where the dialogue will start with the landowner, the builder, developer. We can show comps.
So,
and what are the costs to get a feasibility study going?
That's an agreement to partner with Laura Steinke and Stewart Title. And so that's something that we offer for free. And in return, we expect the partnership. And that just seems like the way to do things nowadays.
That's amazing.
That is pretty amazing. Now, I just put up your contact information. The first time I put it up, I realized I had a couple typos in it.
Oh.
So I know. Do I have this correct?
Karen, you're doing a great job.
Oh, don't pat her on the back. I have to live with her.
I'm gonna put
it looks perfect. No, you did good, girl.
There we go. Let us know if that's not correct, because Laura is the person to know. She's got all the facts going.
So, Laura, I'm so intrigued by this feasibility study thing you guys do. We have a listing in our brokerage that we're holding off on a little bit right now. It's out on the 182nd. So it's kind of on the edge of Happy Valley, and it's 8 acres, Karen?
Oh, you caught me off
Do you know the
guard.
address? Do you know the
It's-
address?
It's 6 to 8 acres. I'll get you the address another time. But so it's not live right now. We're working with the owner on it. But there's some questions about what can be developed there. And we were thinking about going down to the county. But
No, I
we
can do
could,
all
we
that
could
for
come to you
I'll do it.
for a feasibility study.
I'll do it. I just ordered a feasibility study yesterday electronically, and I just got it. I just got it electronically 24 hours later. So,
Oh, wow. And we don't
yeah.
even have to wait in line at the county.
no, and
No masks required.
nope. And if you have the questions, you email me, and then we will figure it out and get back in a timely manner with the answer.
This is marvelous. I didn't realize. Here we're at the show, and I didn't even know you did this much stuff. So I know you have a bunch of other tools, Laura, and I want to get into those a little bit. And we're going to have you back another time to even go deeper. But I want to touch base on a few tools you have for agents growing their business. So you have this feasibility study, of course, but not every agent by a long shot is involved in feasibility studies and land development. But you have other tools like farming tools and things like this to help I'm going to call them the average agent, even though there's no average agent. Everybody's special. But isn't that right? You have tools to help people grow their business.
Yeah, one of the new tools that's really sharp and shiny in my toolbox with Stewart Title is called Forever Farms. And we're able to identify with algorithms the most likely people to buy and sell in the next month to 18 months. And it's just fantastic. And so
you probably charge an arm and a leg for that.
Yes, it's their commitment to do business with us.
And I said that tongue in cheek because you offered it to us a while back, and it blew my mind because getting this, we've paid for this kind of data before through different services, and you stepped up and said we could have it. It is a treasure trove. I can hardly believe you guys give it away, Laura.
No, she was going to tell us what
Oh,
it
yeah.
does.
Sorry. All right.
Go ahead.
The guru cut you off.
Oh, that's okay. I'm used to it.
This is what it's like. This is actually what it's like working with Laura.
Oh, and Ron too.
Cut you asunder with a wicket.
That's right. So yes, we can also offer free phone numbers and email addresses through our systems and software programs that we found that are available. So
yeah.
And you said that with these Forever Farms, it's predicting people that are likely to move within what time period?
1 month to 18 months. So a lot of these people in the hot movers portion, it's a category that you pull down. So say there's like 500 neighbors. So there's maybe 13 that don't even know that they might be buying or selling in the next few months. And so those are the people that the smart realtor would be targeting and putting their marketing dollars towards instead of the 500 people like we did in old school farming.
Yeah.
Days. So here we are in 2022 with technology and algorithms. The internet is amazing. And so we can identify those people. You can do a great job at inviting them to your open houses. They can watch how you're doing your open houses and pretend in their minds that's how she would be or he would be working for me when we list our house with them.
Well, now did I hear one time you guys have labels, or you can?
Yeah, if you need, this is the Forever Farms can do the labels for you, but if you need hard copy labels, we can print those out and I'll bring them to you.
Wow. This is what I love about Stewart Title. It's like everything is a yes, and it's kind of old school though, because you don't hear that a whole lot anymore. What you hear is, well, dial into this number or go to the computer and ask the chat room. Here, you actually get to talk to someone live.
Yeah, that's one of the things that I liked about coming home to Stewart Title 3 years ago is one of my associates, Michelle Austin, who teaches the class on the power of farming, actually.
Yeah.
She took me under her wing, and whenever I would ask a question, she would say yes, or have you thought about? And it just was refreshing to idea share. And not make me feel like I had to figure it out by myself.
Wow.
And so I pass that on to you guys.
Well, exactly. And we are forever farm thankful.
Where's the shovel?
Oh yeah. Well, hey, I'm coming off of being sick the last couple of weeks, but I'm getting better now. So I'm mentally getting there. So, do you have family in the area, Laura?
I'm a 5th generation Oregonian.
Oh boy.
And my parents, I was adopted, and I was so blessed. But they're in heaven now, and so my brother's in McMinnville. My husband and I live in Sandy. And my aunt and uncle are down in Southern California in Cypress with Tiger Woods.
Wow.
I was adopted. So my birth family's in Rainier, Washington. And I was instrumental in opening up the birth records, Measure 58, back in the 90s. And met my birth mother.
Oh, you're kidding.
No. So there's a lot of people.
Was that a tough journey for you?
It was interesting, and both my mom and dad met Linda, and my middle name actually is Linda, so I'm Laura Linda, and she was Linda, and my last name would have been, if I stayed with her, would have been Rigglesworth.
Rigglesworth.
Victoria Rigglesworth is my cousin, and she works down the hallway from me at Stewart Title at Harcourt's Realty.
Wow.
It's a small world, baby.
It's a small world.
After all.
So you were at the front end of finding these birth records and things like this.
Yeah, I got out for dollars. I met a lot of uncles and cousins, and they're like, "Oh, you're the reason that Linda went away and came back, and you were that little secret."
you're the reason. I'm not sure that's how I want to put. You're the reason. Wow.
So I guess there was a kegger back in the 60s, like 63, in the summer of 63. So I'm a love child.
I remember, Laura, we're live. So
I was a love child. It's okay, baby.
Saying it's a kegger.
It's a kegger.
What do you say to that, Karen?
There's not much to say
No.
about it, except that
Moving on.
She prefaced that with, it was the 60s.
Yeah, it's the 60s.
Yeah, Rainier, Washington.
What happens in the 60s stays in the 60s.
Well, I'm going to switch over back to your phone number for in case somebody wants to call you.
So let's talk about people calling you and getting information and what can, meeting with you and things. So they have an agent has a need and you're happy just to talk them through. Because a lot of times agents don't know what to ask for.
Right. So I'm a good listener, and I know how to ask the questions to get to the answers what maybe they don't know that they need to ask. So
you even know the term kegger.
Kegger.
I never thought I would be saying kegger on live streaming, but here I am saying kegger.
It's fun to say.
It's okay. Yeah, it's
okay, baby.
It's fine.
So Laura, if we had, or any office had a brand new agent, at what point should they be calling you to find out about Stewart Title and all the wonderful services you guys have?
Well, that's a good question.
It is a good question. So I'm thinking that you guys would probably have that on their list of things that they need to take care of in like the first 30 days. And so if that was on their outline of things to do, I would add that as the most important thing is to establish relationships with not only Stewart Title, but the other title companies, because they're going to be learning from the other title companies too, along for the ride, building relationships and growing their businesses.
Got it. And Karen's having to grab, looks like some kind of a delivery or something. So, sorry about that. In these small studios, you have to multitask it sometimes, Laura. So,
yeah, I'm good with that.
Anyway, so you would say that even before an agent has a deal, they should establish a relationship with you.
I really think so. A lot of the new agents that we target are just getting out of school. And so we meet with them individually after they just get licensed and talk about title and escrow and how we can help them.
That is so smart. See, I waited. Of course, we're going back a lot of years here. I waited though until I had something already cooked up, and then I was behind because I could have put things in place. So I love to hear the fact that you want to meet with people ahead of time.
Yes.
That
And
is so smart.
I come from an educational background with my family, and so I am a very good listener, good teacher. There's no stupid questions. And actually, the title companies are like a huge library full of resources, and there's no stupid questions.
Yeah. You know, Laura, I absolutely I want to thank you for how much you have done for us at Mount Hood Realty. You have been there for us and our agents. I absolutely want to say from the heart, thank you, because you have brought us resources to grow our business and the individual agents to grow their business. It's really substantial.
And it's so fun to see it when it happens. And we have several success stories from the agents in your office. And it just makes me feel good to watch them grow.
Now, I got to ask before you're out of here. Do you have pets?
I have a kitty cat named Striker.
Striker or Striper?
Striker, like STRKR.
Striker.
I bet he has a little pizzazz.
Well, there's got to be a story that goes along with Striker.
She's cool. She's a little hunter, and she talks a lot too. So she just makes me happy. She's my reason I hurry home.
We've got an agent that every time we have a Zoom meeting, her cat walks in front of the camera back and forth. You see this tail going back and forth in front of the camera. And what's his name, Karen?
Burton.
Oh, yeah, Burton. That's right, like Tim Burton.
No,
not Tim Burton,
like
but
the ski.
I know. I mean, it's how I remember it, though. Am I not allowed to remember something?
Well,
I don't know.
Because he likes the snow, evidently.
Yes.
Well, anyway, it has been so wonderful to have you, Laura, and we are going to have you back with some more fun facts.
Oh, yeah. And the next stage of building the agent's business. Laura, it's been an honor. It's been a pleasure. And I look forward to our next time that we're talking about building the agent's business with you.
Likewise. Thanks, you guys.
Thank you. Take care.
Yeah, bye-bye.
Bye. Wow, she is so smart. I mean...
I know. It's so exciting to have Laura on.
Yeah.
But what is your next one? What's your next topic?
My next topic?
Yeah.
Oh, my next topic is personal for real. But I just wanted to say about Laura. She is so smart, and she knows how to build your business. And these forever farms, they can save you money and make you money like crazy. But I do want to get on though to personal real. Now, I started this off by putting a touch in here for the last few weeks. I started off with personal finance. Personal swap was last week. And now I want to talk about personal VRIO. If you haven't done a personal VRIO, you really need to think about stopping what you're doing and take a few hours, sit down, even if you have to lock yourself in the room, alone, and do it. And what it stands for is value, rarity, imitability, and strength of organization.
I was going to say your alphabet soup is confusing me.
Well, we had the SWOT last week, we talked about strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, threats. But the VRIO is a very unique look at what's going on. So here's where you get to say to yourself, what is your personal value? How do you bring, I'm not talking your values like morality and things. I'm talking about your personal value proposition you bring to your client. What value are you offering them other than the fact that you like to make some money? That's probably not the value proposition that they're hoping you have, even though people know you're in the business to make money. That's okay. But that's not what we put out there. That's not how we do it. So you have to think about the value proposition. And then in order to keep yourself top of mind. The two letters in the middle, rarity and imitability. That is, how rare is it what you do? Obviously, you're not going to be an only one, but some things you do, you need to make it a little more rare. Like maybe you're going after a niche of a particular neighborhood that has veterans in it or something like this. So you have chosen something that's a little more rare. Now, the next piece, the imitability, that is, how easy is it to imitate what you're doing? So the larger you grow, will people want to imitate you or do they want to join you? And that's just something to always be aware of because, guarding our own personal industries, our own things that we carve out is really important. Then the last one, strength of organization. That is, how strongly are you personally organized to stand the test of time doing this type of business? And I don't mean real estate in general. I'm talking about the piece you're carving out that's rare. So each step of the way, it takes time. By the way, you can Google this. It's easy to find. This is a test that's out there. It's easy to find this kind of a study and test out there and apply it over to yourself. Easy to do, but it does take time. It will take you some time to go through this. No question about it. But the value that comes out of it is huge. You will have a deeper understanding of who you are and what's going on. All right, we are going to get into the stack of stuff is huge. We're going to get into a bunch more of it, right, including the stuff of some residential things. So right after this break.
So, Rod, what does it mean? 7 minutes to a new career.
Well, in 7 minutes, we can have a cup of coffee, we can talk career goals, and how we're going to help you make the biggest career move in your life.
That's right. There's a lot of things that Mountain Hood Realty has to offer, and Rod is a ball of energy.
I love the career, and I want to share with you my passion for building your business bigger than you ever thought it could be.
Come spend 7 minutes with us. We look forward to it.
Talk to you soon.
The guru is back, and he's going to talk about office to residential conversion.
Okay, hot in the news, the residential stuff, because we have a shortage of inventory. We all know this. Our shortage of inventory right now is so deep that it's just kind of that mind-blowing thing of, is there anything for sale? I mean, I have people walk in the office regularly, and they'll say things like, do you have anything for sale? And then they will have been going from brokerage to brokerage, so kind of old school. And I'll tell them, look, we can all see all the, I mean, I want to win and earn your business, but you don't have to go to all these brokerages. We can all actually see the inventory that's out there. So, but some people have trouble believing that, but it is true. So there is a thing going on right now, and that's office to residential conversion. This is where a lot of the office buildings, because since the pandemic time, we're doing a lot more things at home. In fact, office spaces have been carved out at home at such a high rate. A lot of the office space is not being needed. And we do need it for residential space. Well, you might think that's a good thing. At least on the surface, you think it's a good thing. But when the industry went to start doing it, and it's mostly in the larger cities, but when they went to go do it, the problem they found is it's extraordinarily expensive. It's cost prohibitive because the standards that the space was built for office is not the standard for residential. In fact, it's wildly different. It doesn't qualify at all without, basically, you got to take the thing down to the root. You got to go back down to the skeleton and rebuild. Well, that's often as as much as building from scratch. So the cost prohibitive part becomes extraordinarily expensive. So we have investors that have decided to start doing some of this. Some of the very top investors trying to do this. But while it's top of mind to do it, investors have found it's difficult. They are doing it some. I can't say they're doing it a lot, but they are doing it some. One moment here, my phone seems to be not clicking. Oh, we have all kinds of technology problems today, it seems like. But what is a good day in having a show without technology craziness? That just seems to be par for the course of what's happening out there. Okay, so renters are relocating. We know that they're relocating like crazy. And where are they relocating to? Well, they're relocating to places like Texas. The top 5, by the way, 5 cities, 2 of them are in Texas. 2 of them are in Florida. And 1 of them is in Virginia. Now, you might say, why? Well, the answer is pretty easy. Rent is lower, and renters are actually looking to relocate because in a lot of cities, there just isn't anything available. They have run out of availability. There is a reason we have so many homeless. There's a reason we have so many people in tents. A lot of people tend to think that, well, if you're in a tent, well, then you want to be there, or that's a choice. No, not for a lot of people. For a lot of people, they actually have money. They have money to rent. They have money to do something with. But there just isn't anything available. So renters are starting to make choices to move to other venues. Dallas, Texas is one of them that actually has availability right now. And the rent is less, at least at this point. I suspect as they have a huge influx coming in, that is going to change big time. But we'll see what happens. Okay, I want to have a conversation. I want to hear from you guys about fixer-uppers. Because fixer-uppers is a big conversation going on right now. Not only just people are always looking for a fixer-upper. Of course, they're busy looking for a fixer-upper and what's happening in the market. And can I make money on a flipper? Fix it, flip it, fix it, flip it, and which is common to do, and it still is happening. I had a bunch of investors 2 years ago. I was advising for a group of investors, and they did not want to pay more than $195. That's an in-city fixer-up. You can't get anything. You can't get a cardboard box for $195 now. You can't find anything to live in for that kind of price, even if the walls are falling down. So the fixer-upper market has moved up to even as high as like $350,000. I'm talking $350,000. The fixer-upper market has moved so high that it's crazy. But now, before we get too far into fixer-uppers, I want to start with some definitions, and I want to hear from you on the comments about what do you think a light fixer-upper is? Because we throw this term around, like it's kind of this crazy thing. What is a light fixer-upper? Karen, you hear this all the time. What is a light fixer-upper out there? And
we hear this all the time, and I always have a big question mark above my head because for one person, it's I want to paint the walls. I need to paint the walls. And the next person is I'm going to tear out the kitchen cupboards or change that countertop. That to them is a light fixer-upper. And then the third person comes in and says, oh yeah, we'll redo the floors in the bathroom, put in a new tub, fix up the kitchen, put on a new deck. That's a light fixer-upper, and we can flip this baby. So it is important to have your client define what they mean by light fixer-upper.
Yeah. So what I've seen out there for light fixer-upper is that people think that all it needs is paint. And it's going to all of a sudden have huge amount more value. But that
anybody can paint.
Anybody can. That's the problem. Anybody can paint. And then if certain types of fixing up can add more value than other types of fixing up. For example, if you have a functioning kitchen, so I'm talking functioning here, not the nicest kitchen. Maybe it's well dated. Maybe it has the old orange Formica counter. Remember the old orange Formica countertops? Nothing says 70s more than the orange. And the Formica, maybe it's probably chipped here and there. It's certainly not granite. It's not the nicer stuff. It's the Formica stuff. But it functions by throwing in a $50,000, $75,000 remodel to the kitchen, which easily can be $50,000 to $75,000. Kitchens can run a lot of money. You may have to do new wiring harnesses. You may have to move plumbing. You may need whole new cabinetry, just depending on what you're doing. They really can run a lot of money. But are you going to get that money out? Now, generally, I would say, coming from your guru, I would say you're not going to get the money out of it. What you're going to get is a better living standard. What you're going to get is people desiring to have what you have, but they're not going to be willing to pay a lot more for that property just because you updated the kitchen, even though it certainly is desire. There's, wow, that's so nice. I love what you have. And if that works for you, terrific. But light fixer-uppers, I think usually is paint. I don't view a light fixer-upper as missing a wall. I don't view a light fixer-upper as having to have a whole new roofing system put on. Maybe a new layer of a roof. Maybe. But light fixer-upper. Now, you don't generally hear a term called heavy fixer-upper. Instead of heavy fixer-upper, what you'll hear is financeable fixer-upper or not financeable fixer-upper. We bypass this term of heavy fixer-upper and we go right over to, well, is it financeable? Well, so what do we mean by, Kara, what do we mean when we say financeable or fixer-uppers?
Well, that just means that you need to be able to get a loan for this property. So it can't have some of the major issues with it. So just in general, there's a variety of type of loans. But most loans don't want a home that has problems with the plumbing, foundation, or the roof. And then there are a splattering of other issues, unless you get into rehab loans, and they're completely different. So when we talk financeable, we're generally talking about products that deal with the average type of home purchase, which cannot have roof problems, plumbing, foundation, and so forth.
Yeah, that's what I see it as well. The financing problems are huge issues. Otherwise, now we're getting down to cash. If it's not financeable, we're getting down to cash offers. And cash offers usually go for quite a bit less because you're dealing with a very small part of the population that has cash or is getting hard money loans to get into a piece of property. And that's a small part of the population. So the term fixer-upper, almost everybody that walks in our office that hasn't dealt with real estate in the past tends to think that you can just go and search for fixer-uppers. And while there are some search terms out there for fixer-upper and remodeling and refurbished, things like this, distressed homes is another one. They don't say if it's a light or heavy or non-financeable fixer-upper. You have to search for those in different ways. So this light fixer-upper, which I think is what most people that think of a fixer-upper, the fencing outside is damaged, the lawn needs some picking up, Maybe it needs some redressing around the lawn. It needs a coat of paint on the outside. Maybe some new carpets on the inside. Some pretty light things, even though they can cost you a lot of money, even doing those things, as well as a lot of labor. But your sweat equity can pay off big time finding one of these gems that are out there. However, harder to find. And in a seller's market, it can be extraordinarily difficult to get a good deal on a light fixer-upper, because the light fixer-uppers get bid up as if they were mostly repaired. Now, we're not going to stay in this crazy market that we're in right now. I mean, this has been truly a crazy market. But for now, we are in a seller's market, and it's an extreme seller's market. So the investors are having a hard time with finding fixer-uppers that are qualified. Absolutely amazing. And it's so interesting to get to live through a time like this. All right, changing gears here real quick. It's time for another war update. We have the Ukraine war going on, and I again want to send out my heartfelt prayers over to the Ukrainian people. This is so difficult. But we are having issues here in real estate because of the Ukraine war. One is, well, the ruble from Russia has been devalued, and so those sales are they're just gone. Now, that being said, it is 0.04% or 0.0004, but in a percent land, 0.04% of sales were ever that. So not huge, but we do it. I mean, every little bit matters. So there are not homes being purchased with the ruble anymore from Russia because that's all been devalued. The problem that is bigger, way bigger than that, is we continue to have supply chain management problems. Supply chain problems coming from the Ukraine because of what's happening over there is absolutely substantial. And it is slowing down our ability here to build new homes or do a deep repair of a home. This, of course, it is my personal belief that while we are doing inflationary stop points over here by raising interest rates and some other things, we're trying to stop that runaway inflation that we're beginning to have right now. And we're having inflation in some areas that is pretty severe. I mean, the inflation can be like 9%, 10%. It's really getting up there. Well, I believe that global problems will stop the interest rates from soaring too high. We're going to see some more increases. There's no doubt about it. But their interest rates are still historically low. If you haven't bought a home yet and you qualify, I don't care the fact that inventory is low right now. Inventory is very low. You need to continue to push to find something to buy, because interest rates, even though we're at that 4.5%, 5% right now, they are historically low. I bought my first house on double-digit interest rates, and I made money. And most people back then made money on double-digit interest. When we could refinance, of course, we did. We're nowhere near that. We're still at very, very low. But every little bit the interest goes up, it will erode your buying power. No doubt about it. I do wonder at what point in time that homes will have to stop going up as fast, because that is also eroding away buying power. So as homes go up or as interest rate goes up, it's a double impact. So that is really big when it comes to inflation and things like this happening. We are in the midst of it right now, and it's time to keep our eye on the ball. Professionally, of course, we're keeping our eye on the ball. But if you are looking to purchase a home, right now is a gem of a time to jump in. There are still 0 down programs. You're in the battle to get one of those accepted right now. That doesn't mean you shouldn't be trying. You should be out there trying. You will eventually win at the game. And I call it a game. But this is real family wealth time that you will earn your family wealth. You will build family long-term wealth. And you don't want to stop now and say, oh, well, I'll go and do this in 5 or 6 years when things settle down. You're going to be giving up all of that family wealth time that you could have captured by taking something now. Maybe there's something you take now. People say to me regularly, well, Rod, this is not my dream home, though. Well, okay. I didn't start off with my dream home. By the way, my second home wasn't my dream home. Neither was my third or fourth home. They weren't my dream homes either. It took me a long time to get to where I'm at now, having a dream, what I would call my dream home. And that's okay. You build your equity and your family wealth continues to build along the way. And I enjoyed every single property that I had along the way. You can still have great joy with them. Just because it's not your dream home, that's okay. You can still jump in and be making that long-term family wealth decision. And often right now, and hear me out, often right now, we are having lower payments. Now get this, lower payments on home ownership than in the rental market. Rent has went sky high. I feel so bad for the renters. Of course, I feel bad for the landlords as well, because a lot of the landlords are making no money because of all the fees, the structures based upon that, the taxes built in, the maintenance that has to go on. I've owned a lot of rentals in the past myself. I understand that part, and you have to charge a lot. But owning something yourself, because then when you own it yourself, you can do your own maintenance. There's rules that you can't do a lot of your own maintenance when you own something and a tenant is in it. You have to have a licensed person come out and do it. But when you own it yourself, you can keep up with a lot of that yourself. I want to help you build your family wealth larger than ever imagined. This is Mtn Top Chats. I've had a great time today. We have another hot interview next week. I look forward to having you there with us, and I'll be talking to you shortly.